actress, controversial pop star. Miley Cyrus has become one of the most talked about celebrities in the world.
Miley Cyrus is already one of the most talked about women in the world, one of the most talked about celebrities, and one of the richest women in the world right now. Now she's entering her 20s, and let's be honest, she has the world at her feet.
But look at the facts. She's breaking records, she's selling records. And she's only 20 years old.
From Disney's Hannah Montana to her latest hit single, Wrecking Ball, Miley has transformed her image radically, rendering her the focus of the media all over the world.
She's 20 years old and look at what she's achieved. You know, Hannah Montana, the millions that she's made with that. Her music career is doing better than it's ever done before.
She had that superstar X Factor quality, which has resulted in her going on to become, let's be honest, one of the most talked about celebrities in the world and a #1 recording artist.
Miley Cyrus was born on November 23rd, 1992 in Nashville. Obviously, her dad is Billy Ray Cyrus. Her godmother is Dolly Parton.
Well, Miley was obviously born into an amazing showbiz family. I think a dad like Billy Ray Cyrus.
Miley's dad is Billy Ray Cyrus. Now, he's a huge country singer all over the world, but particularly America. Added to that, her godmother is Dolly Parton, so not only was music in her blood, it was all around her. And there was a feeling that A, she would be quite a good singer, and that B, she'd want to do it.
And she's from a very large family of mixed siblings, step-siblings, half-siblings, all of whom pretty much went into entertainment. Some of them are actors, some of them are musicians in bands, but she was surrounded by showbiz pretty much from day one.
She had everything that surely would result in her becoming a worldwide star. It was in her DNA. The girl born Destiny who became Miley because she was so smiley, despite having several, other brothers and sisters, became the star of that family from the day she was born, and we all know what happened subsequently.
The success, the fame, the glamour. Miley Cyrus has made a name for herself in the musical world as well as Hollywood. Starring in major film productions like The Last Song and traveling the world to promote her Hannah Montana tour, Miley has conquered the media and the public everywhere.
Miley was a happy child. Her nickname was Smiley, so this eventually became Miley. Her real name was Destiny Hope because her parents were so sure that she would be such a success. She would fulfill her destiny, as indeed she went on to do. She grew up on a huge farm, lots of brothers and sisters. Her father, Billy Ray Cyrus, obviously a huge country musician. So not only was music in her blood, but music was all around her.
Billy Ray Cyrus had actually had a pretty successful music career as a country music singer, and he had, one pretty big single, Achy Breaky Heart, which, got a lot of flack from, the rest of the music world, pop music and rock music especially, because, it was a little hokey, but at the same time, that's kind of what sells in country music. And he had a deal with Walt Disney Records, which was, fortunate considering that's where Miley Cyrus ended up. He had really good relationships at Walt Disney. And he sort of set the path for his daughter, even though she kind of wanted it more than he did at the time.
In 1994, Billy Ray, Miley's dad, was being interviewed, and along comes Miley's first TV appearance, and it's gorgeous. She's 2 years old, she's pushing a little pram, and her dad says, "There's my daughter," and she's pushing her little boyfriend. And you could tell even then that she clearly wasn't camera shy. She was talented. She was a child who reveled in attention, and it was a taste of what was to come.
Billy Ray introduces his 2-year-old daughter Miley to the whole world, to the audience watching at home, and we instantly fall in love with this incredibly cute 2-year-old who, quite surreally, was hugging a $450 replica of the country music legend Willie Nelson, which brought on quite a few laughs from the audience, and, of course, showed off her unique ability to roll her eyes on demand once her dad asked her to show her eyes trick. It was ridiculously mesmerizing, and she was ridiculously cute.
They're very, very close. And you can see old videos of them where, it's such a sweet, father-daughter relationship. You can tell that, he's super supportive of her. But I think he had some hesitation in putting her out to, into the entertainment business. Show business is tough, especially on a kid, which she was when she was trying out for Hannah Montana.
Miley Cyrus, born in Nashville, Tennessee on November 23, 1992, was destined to become a musical sensation. Clearly a very exuberant child, she was ready to be in the spotlight from a very young age. The Cyrus family moved to Toronto, Canada in 2001 to support Billy Ray while filming his new show, Doc. The 8-year-old Miley saw this as an opportunity to premiere her acting talents.
Miley's dad was filming a series called Doc in Canada. When Miley was 8, they moved over to Canada, and that's when Miley realized she wanted to become an actress. She watched her dad and she turned around and she said, "Daddy, I want to be an actress. That's what I want to do with my life."
So Miley wanted to be an actress, but she didn't know how to, so she obviously had to enroll somewhere. Even though she had a showbiz dad, it was important that she learned her craft. The Armstrong studio down in Toronto, she enrolled there like anybody else would, and really grafted. And she was a really hard worker. She wasn't mucking about. Even at a very young age, she knew what she wanted and she was going to get it.
Miley was a very driven little girl, and she knew she wanted to go to acting school, so she joined the Armstrong studio in Toronto, and she went to classes there 5 times a week. She excelled, she was very good, and she really wanted to audition for roles. So she learnt her craft and she went for it.
She actually got into acting because of her dad when he was on the TV show Doc at age 9. That's what inspired her to get into acting. And he's been very instrumental in her career, and he's still really supportive of her.
Well, I think it's quite funny because obviously Miley did want to get into acting, and then she apparently auditioned. I'm sure it had something to do with the fact that her dad was the main character in Doc. But she did get her first role quite quickly after coming out of the Armstrong studio. And she worked hard. She supposedly auditioned like anybody else would. She got a recurring role. She was there for, I think, 3 episodes, so it was great for her.
Later, she got a recurring part and was in Doc for 3 shows. And this really gave her a taste of what was to come and what she wanted. She wanted more.
So when you're Miley Cyrus and you're the daughter of Billy Ray Cyrus and you've already started to dip your toe into the world of acting, you've watched your dad have a hit show, Doc, which has done incredibly well, especially on Christian television in Canada and America on those networks, it was obvious that Miley Cyrus and her dad, and of course the team around them, were mixing in Hollywood circles and talking to directors and agents. And one of those people happened to be Tim Burton, one of the greatest directors in Hollywood to this day. The man who gave us Batman and Beetlejuice had discovered young Miley Cyrus.
I think when Miley actually got the role in Tim Burton's Big Fish, it was a real moment for her because she'd had to go on her own. This wasn't anything to do with Billy Ray being her father. She was auditioning like everybody else. She was opposite Helena Bonham Carter, Ewan McGregor. It was a real standout moment for her, and it kind of proved that she had something of her own and she could go out there and do the job.
She auditioned for it along with lots of other people. She stood out, and all of a sudden she had this part. She was with the likes of Ewan McGregor, Helena Bonham Carter, so with serious actors. This really bolstered her confidence, and not only that, but she thought, I don't want this to be the last film I've made. She wanted it to be the start of something, and this really encouraged her and gave her even more drive.
Well, I think for Miley, there's only one place that she had to be. Hollywood was calling. After she'd had the big role in Big Fish and then she'd done Doc, it was only obvious that she was going to go towards Hollywood. The bright lights, she was perfect, the big smile, the blonde hair. Hollywood was definitely calling.
Miley moved to Hollywood, as did her whole family. They really saw something in her, and that was a talent that needs to be nurtured. So Miley decided to audition for as many things as possible, and eventually it paid off.
When the Cyruses decided to move to Los Angeles in 2005, Miley was an incredibly young age to go into what is a very intense environment for any young wannabe performer. Everyone wants to go to Hollywood, everyone wants to go to LA, but the thing about the Cyruses is when you're that established, you've got the money and the cash to be able to move lock, stock and barrel. Everyone relocated to Los Angeles and basically began the next chapter in Miley's career.
So I think Miley's early career was very important to make the right decisions. So with the help of Dolly Parton and obviously her parents, who were already very experienced in showbiz, they made sure she had the right management. They didn't want her falling into the wrong hands, kind of being plucked and shoved in this direction and that direction. It was important to have the right team behind her.
During that time, Miley auditioned for a role in the film The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl in 3D, starring Taylor Lautner. But something else was stirring in Miley Cyrus. Her next role took the world by storm.
In 2006, Miley became aware that Disney were auditioning for a new series called Hannah Montana. She wanted this role. Now, originally, she auditioned for the second lead, and then they asked her to come back and audition for the lead role of Hannah Montana. And they said, sorry, we think you're too young and too small for the part. But, and it just shows how determined she is, she said, I'm not taking no for an answer. And she sent them clips, videos of herself doing other things. And eventually they said, okay, you can be Hannah Montana. Now this was huge, to be the lead in a Disney series where they were putting so much money behind it. But it wasn't guaranteed to be a success.
I think it was obvious when you look back at Miley Cyrus's early auditions for Hannah Montana is that it was inevitable that she would end up on screen and the star of that show. But what's interesting, of course, is that she went into those Disney auditions not expecting to become the lead star. She didn't audition to be the lead character. In fact, she was recalled by the Disney cast, who decided she had something special. There was a quality to her performance and her audition that led them to think she could become Miley Stewart, who of course became and is Hannah Montana.
The show was a huge success overnight, and I think the reason why a lot of people like this show is I think it's kind of every girl's dream. A lot of girls want to be a regular girl next door, but they also aspire to be a pop star, rock star, famous. And it was called the best of both worlds with Hannah Montana. She got to be the sweet girl next door, the student living the normal life during the day, but she had this secret life when she put on her blonde wig of becoming, this huge pop star, which I think every little girl at school kind of dreams of doing.
What's funny about Hannah Montana is you could write it off as just like a silly Disney show, but it actually was really well written, and it had like a little bit for the adults and the children. It was the kind of show that you could watch, like a parent and a child could watch together. And it was funny, and she was really great at it. I mean, she really embodied that Hannah Montana character, and I think that made the show even more believable. Most Disney shows are they're really just for the tweens, they're really silly, they're juvenile, but Hannah Montana had if I could say, a little more sophistication to it.
And now we all know, because the tapes are out there on YouTube, that she definitely had the star quality, and the rest is history.
No one could have predicted what was to come. Hannah Montana became a huge hit amongst the Disney audience, and Miley's career took off in a heartbeat.
It was the perfect role for someone like Miley to go for. Hannah Montana was, that normal teenager Miley Stewart during the day, and then by night she erupted into Hannah Montana. It was kind of perfect from the get-go.
Hannah Montana is about a young girl who leads a double life. So during the day, she goes to school, she's normal, and she's called Hannah Stewart. And in the evening, she transforms into a pop star, and that's Hannah Montana. And it's tapping into what young girls aspire to be, normal just like them, but also have this glamorous life. She wears the best clothes, she's famous, she's popular, and that's why it was such a big hit.
Disney knew exactly what they were doing when they came up with the concept for Hannah Montana. They wanted a show that would reach out to their incredibly young and loyal demographic, mostly and largely comprising of teenage girls, who not only love television, but also love pop music. So they wanted to come up with an award-winning show that would grab the viewers and also come up with some songs that could eventually lead on to other projects. Of course, that being the release of studio and music albums.
In 2006, Hannah Montana premiered to the largest Disney show audience ever. And automatically, straight away, Miley became a teen idol. And she couldn't walk down the street without being recognized, but also she was on posters around America and then the world. She was on bed sheets, she was on packed lunch boxes. Everyone wanted to be Hannah Montana.
it was pretty obvious that Hannah Montana as a brand was going to be an absolutely massive thing.
A huge success worldwide, Hannah Montana went on for 4 seasons. It also starred her father, Billy Ray Cyrus.
So it was important for Miley to start, working out her own name, getting Miley Cyrus out there instead of just Hannah Montana. So when Disney put together a package of big-time Disney favourites, she released Zippity Doo-Dah. Obviously, it was going to go down well with the fans, and it kind of showed that she wanted to get out there, and it was the first opportunity for her to break away from the Hannah Montana that she'd had a lot of fame from.
Disney had been incredibly clever with Hannah Montana. They had got the formula right, and that resulted in the show becoming the #1 show on the network. I mean, if you were 10 years old, a teenage girl or a young girl living in America, or even around the world, you knew who Hannah Montana was. You were singing the songs, you were obsessed with that show. And of course, the overall result was that the world suddenly went mad for Hannah Montana. Hannah Montana Mania was born. If you're looking for a perfect Disney pop record, if you're looking for an uplifting anthem, then Best of Both Worlds is that song. Of course, it was the lead title track to the hit show Hannah Montana, therefore millions of fans tuned in to the show and millions of fans fell in love with the song. It was obvious that Miley had to release it as a single, and in the video, she delivered an uplifting, live performance.
I definitely think being Billy Ray Cyrus's daughter helped get her foot in the door. It's really hard to make those connections if you're just, a kid from Nashville, even from Music City. So I think her, the fact that she was a Cyrus, that she had the same last name, was a huge plus for her.
Hannah Montana is the single most important thing to have happened in Miley Cyrus's career. I mean, whether she gets to 40, 50, or even 90, she will still look back at that period when she was 12, 13 years old and leading and starring in the #1 rated show on the Disney network. It's the show that put her firmly on the map worldwide.
Miley was obviously going to be a big star when it came to touring around the globe, but to start with, she did the Best of Both Worlds tour. It was instantly sold out, US and Canada. Eventually they made it into a 3D movie that made 30 million on its own. She had definitely proved her worth.
It was also significant for Miley because she met Nick Jonas on the tour. The two hit it off and started dating. They dated, but only for a few months. And she said later that she didn't want to become what Nick Jonas wanted her to become. So there was a difference on opinion on the girl he wanted to go out with and the girl she wanted to be.
I think Miley was obviously going to be someone that as journalists we were looking at what was going on in their private life, and the first opportunity we got was when she got together with Nick Jonas. They were pictured out, paparazzi style shots. They eventually did confirm the relationship. It didn't last that long. Eventually she did say that he didn't really allow her to be herself, and that was why it ended.
Miley and Nick Jonas became a hot couple because they were pursued by the paparazzi, pictures were taken, they were on websites all over the world and newspapers. They were a hot couple, it just didn't last.
And when they broke up, Miley was devastated. She said it was the hardest time of her life. It was like her first love, really, and also maybe it sort of signified the end of a teen pop era too.
I think in those early days, Miley was obviously under the Disney spell. She wasn't able to do anything that was too shocking. Start All Over was kind of her getting out there, showing that she was kind of a schoolgirl and she was rattling around the school and showing off a more urban look, maybe you could say.
And the video, of course, did the job as well. It really did sell the song. Young Miley wakes up daydreaming of being in a skating park. She's then transported to a skating park, has a bit of a party with all the cool kids, a bit of a celebration, and ultimately it helped establish her as a solo artist, and of course helped her move away from the tag of being the girl from Hannah Montana.
Miley was always going to get together with her father Billy Ray for some sort of duet, and it did happen really early on. Ready, Set, Don't Go was kind of him duetting with her and saying, I'm not quite ready to let you go into the world of showbiz, and start twerking and sticking your tongue out. These were the early days. It was a good song, and it did get to #4 on one of the country chart hits over in the States.
Ready, Set, Don't Go was the single that Miley recorded with her dad, Billy Ray, and it was really about their relationship, about her being nurtured, growing up. He wanted her to do well, and then all of a sudden he's saying don't go because he loves her so much. And although there is no music video as such for it, the video recordings of them performing it together show there is this real intimacy. It's really nice and it's very special for them to be able to do this. And it also peaked at number 4 in the country top 100 in America.
Riding the success of Hannah Montana, and, you know, Miley's album debuted at number 1. I'm just really proud. I'm proud to be here as a papa and also as a professional.
Breakout, Miley's second studio album, was released in 2008 and was a huge success. Again, it went straight to the top of the Billboard charts and also shows her creative flair because of the 12 songs on it, she wrote 8 of them.
The lead single from Breakout was called Fly on the Wall, and the video gave us the first opportunity for us to see Miley and her relationship with the paparazzi. It featured her running away from the cameras, wanting to escape all of the paparazzi that were following her everywhere. And obviously this reflected her actual real life. It's probably something that she's still coming to terms with now.
Breakout was about Miley trying to break free. And the video shows her running away from the paparazzi, and she says that this is something she really struggles with because she sees it as a real invasion of her privacy, but then knows it comes with the job.
Miley, are you going to press any charges against the president?
The paparazzi were everywhere.
Are you angry at Perez, Miley?
Miley was soon discovering what it meant to be a true Hollywood star.
Get off property. Yes, get off property, come on.
In 2008, Time magazine listed Miley as one of the 100 most influential people in the world. This was huge. Donny Osmond said that she was at the pinnacle of her career and riding high on a wave of success. And let's not forget, she's only 16 years old. She's Disney's biggest asset. She's a household name around the world. Young girls want to be her. She's so marketable, and she's 16 years old. It's astonishing.
In 2008, Miley was actually included in the Times Magazine Top 100 Most Influential People in Showbiz, which was an amazing thing for someone of 16 years old. In the article, Donny Osmond actually wrote a piece about Miley and, you know, where her career was going and what the future would hold. And he did actually predict the fact that Miley was going to make a lot of mistakes and she wasn't going to be the clean-cut girl that America kind of wanted her to stay.
The biggest hit single from the album, 7 Things, was nominated at the 2008 and 2009 MTV Music Video Awards. In 2009, Miley published her autobiography, Miles to Go. The book became a #1 on the children's bestseller list and has sold 2 million copies. The book features her thoughts on her family, the media, and her future ambitions.
I think there's just different chapters. It's about school and about guys and about my family, and I'm excited for everyone to get to know me a little more. But then here's little notes that I did. So this is all my real handwriting. I actually wrote all these, and these are 7 things that I wish were true.
When she was 16, Miley published her autobiography, Miles to Go, and there's probably a lot of people who are your age 16, what could you possibly say? You haven't been on the planet long enough to have an autobiography. But it was a book definitely aimed at her core audience, her fans. It was a children's book, that's how it was marketed. And it was a very, inspirational book. It was a book about, pursuing your dreams. But it also talked about things that kids could relate to, like bullying and being teased. But I think what's funny now to read it in retrospect is how she talks about she would never smoke, it would ruin her instrument. And basically, she was a good girl. But you have to remember, she was only 16 when she wrote that, and it's just like Britney Spears when she was a teenager saying, "Oh, I'm saving myself for marriage," and a few years later, she's being really promiscuous in her, in her stage show. It's you can't really hold someone accountable for something they said was their worldview at age 16.
Hannah Montana, the movie, which was released in 2009, was a huge commercial success. And it just really cemented the fact that she was Disney's biggest asset at the time.
On its opening weekend, Hannah Montana, the movie, grossed over $32 million. It seemed that Miley's fame wasn't about to fade.
I just watch in amazement. Miley's an incredible young lady. What you see on screen and what you see in the episodes of Hannah Montana is very similar to what I see at home. She's a young lady that's very passionate about her art.
So do you enjoy working with your dad?
I do. I love being, by his side because me and him are more like best friends than even father and daughter, and I think that really shows in this movie as well.
Disney decided to exercise a clause in their contract for a 4th series. However, Miley wasn't too keen on it. She wanted to end after the 3rd series. And it was really a sign that she felt she was moving away from this bubblegum sweet teenage girl and wanted to break free. And I think, personally, if it had ended after the 3rd series, that would have been better timing. I think Miley was very frustrated that she was still being kept in this girly role when she felt, you know, she was a grown-up woman.
Party in the USA, Miley's hit single from her The Time of Our Lives extended play, used to promote her clothing line. Debuting at #2 on the Hot 100 Billboard chart. The song is about her transition from Tennessee to Hollywood. The tour for the album grossed over $67 million worldwide.
Party in the USA was the moment when she, really sort of transcended the Disney world because it wasn't G-rated, it was PG-13, let's put it that way. It was sort of like a very calculated step away from Disney and closer to where we are right now with Bangerz.
You have to remember, of course, that Miley Cyrus's roots lay in country music and, of course, Nashville, Tennessee. She grew up on a big farm in Tennessee, the daughter of Billy Ray Cyrus. So with the Party in the USA video, she wanted to embrace those roots and go back to exploring, her country background. What did she do? Well, she partied with some friends on the back of a truck in some incredible open fields. It looked, visually spectacular. It was a bit of a celebratory, knowing video. It was a good party vibe to it as well. And I think the song itself was one of the best solo singles she's ever released.
Having released 3 studio albums by the age of 18, Miley was a huge success in the musical world. However, Hollywood was calling.
Miley had obviously been seen as a teen idol for a long time, and I think she wanted to appeal to a much broader audience, so being taken more seriously for her acting was something that she had to work on.
Miley starred in the film One Last Song, which was written specifically for her. Now, she wanted to break away from the Hannah Montana clean-cut image, and she really wanted the world to see that there was more to her, that, she'd been growing up. As the 4th series of Hannah Montana aired, she was nothing like the girl who originally got the part. And she wanted people to know she could be a serious actress, and she wanted to reach an adult audience. Indeed, most of her fans were beginning to grow up too.
In 2010, Miley starred in a new film, The Last Song. It was very much an opportunity for her to start moving away from the Disney image, to really work out what she wanted to do and be taken seriously as a proper actress.
Obviously, Miley had lots of experience in acting as Hannah Montana, but she really wanted to make a point of not being in a musical film, that she could be an actress without having to be a singer. And that's why she did The Last Song, which was one of those, adult-leaning films in the sense it was by Nicholas Sparks, who's behind, The Notebook and A Walk to Remember. It's a serious, it's a chick flick, basically. It was a serious chick flick.
But there were actually benefits to being on the set of The Last Song, because she did manage to meet her first serious boyfriend, which was Liam Hemsworth. Apparently they started dating when they were filming, and it carried on for quite a while.
And I don't know how much it did, for her acting career in terms of giving her the reputation as being a serious thespian. But it was on the set of that film that she met her future fiancé, Liam Hemsworth. So, she did mature in some way from it.
Miley and Liam became the focus of the paparazzi worldwide. Everyone wanted to know about their love affair. Throughout their 3-year-long relationship, they managed to maintain some privacy. However, rumors would continually surface on tabloids. To this day, Miley states that she does not pay attention to such magazines and prefers to keep her private life away from the spotlight.
Liam proposed to Miley after 3 years of dating, so considering she's pretty young, she's only 20 or 19 at this age, they've been going out for 3 years. That's a long time. He proposed with a 3.5 carat engagement ring. This is pretty big. Every girl wants a nice ring. But in Hollywood, they say that, marriages don't last, engagements don't last. So maybe the writing was on the wall that it wouldn't last. Can't Be Tamed, which was Miley's 3rd studio album, was successful, but it wasn't as successful as her first 2. So instead of going straight to #1 on the Billboard 200, it went to #3. It didn't go platinum, but by any standards, #3 is still an awful lot of sales.
The lead single from Can't Be Tamed saw her starting to become a lot more provocative. There was a lot more sexual orientation. You know, she was really going out there, starting to wear a lot skimpier clothing. You know, people were finding it hard to just adjust and work out that she was, you know, Hannah Montana 6 months ago, and now she was kind of going towards Britney and Madonna.
The third album is called Can't Be Tamed, and really you can see Miley's progression, the chapters of her life, through the titles of her album. That she wants to break free, that she can't be tamed, and you just have to look at these titles to see where her head was at the time.
Following the mediocre success of her third album, Miley decided to focus on her acting career. She appeared on Saturday Night Live and on the MTV series Punk'd.
In 2008, photos were unveiled of Miley in her underwear. They were controversial and they were provocative. They caused alarm in Disney corridors because she was seen as this innocent girl, and all of a sudden here she is looking extremely raunchy.
Miley did come out after the lingerie controversy and did apologise profusely for what had happened, but she did admit very early on that, you know, throughout her career she was going to make a lot of mistakes.
And the owner of X17 Picture Agency actually said, I used to be able to sell a picture of Miley Cyrus for $300, and now it's gone up to $2,000 for each photo.
In 2012, she starred in the film LOL opposite Demi Moore. Miley plays the character of Lola, a teenager in high school. The film focuses on many themes involving adolescence, including drugs, sex, and love.
It's kind of interesting that LOL was not successful. It was supposed to be Miley's sort of foray into more serious acting. It was kind of an edgy film. It sort of addressed social media. It had a good cast. It had Ashley Greene in it. It had Demi Moore in it. And ironically, I've read that one of the reasons that Lionsgate didn't really promote the film and sort of buried it, which basically made it a straight-to-video flop, was because they were concentrating on the Hunger Games.
Miley announced that she wanted to take a break from her music career and focus on acting, and she wanted to be taken seriously as an actor. She lined up a role alongside Demi Moore in the film LOL. However, it was a commercial flop. It was a critical flop too. It seemed that the fans weren't really ready to take Miley seriously as a serious actress, and she just couldn't quite shake off the Hannah Montana tag.
Despite her film career not being a big success, Miley's personal life was pointing upwards.
In 2012, Miley and Liam did get engaged. Now, this was big news. The showbiz world was kind of rocked. Everybody wanted a piece of what was going on. She had a 3.5 carat diamond on her finger. And I think everyone was making them into the Hollywood couple, you know, like the Britneys and Justins. We love that kind of thing. You want to know what's going on in their life. And they were quite private about it.
When Liam proposed, Miley said she was the happiest girl in the world. She couldn't wait to spend the rest of her life with Liam. And the pictures and the story were all over the tabloids. It was a worldwide frenzy.
Engaged, a successful musical career behind her, and a promising future ahead, it was time for Miley to change her look completely.
In 2012, Miley did exactly what we all thought she probably would do. She chopped her hair off. You know, anything that she could do to get away from the Disney image of Hannah Montana was going to happen. It had gone from being long, brown, kind of a little bit blonde to pixie, peroxide, rock star style. You know, she was getting tattoos. It was all a lot more controversial. And we kind of loved following it. And I think everybody was kind of like, what are you doing?
In 2012, Miley cut her hair, so she was always known as having long, beautiful brown hair, and suddenly it was a pixie style, very short, very blonde. Paparazzi were going crazy to get a picture of this. And it came around the same time as she was engaged to Liam. And it makes me think that she perhaps thought she was a grown-up now. She was engaged, she needed a new image. And it reminded me also of the time Britney Spears really rebelled and took off her long hair and shaved her hair off. And you often find that with child stars or stars who find fame when they're very young, they really struggle to adapt to how they will transform in their later years. Cutting her hair wasn't just about an image transformation. For Miley, she said she'd never felt more free, never felt more herself than when she cut her hair. And it was a breaking of the chains. It was very much a sign that this was her old life when she was sweet and innocent and a teenager, and this was her new life.
I think chopping her hair off was definitely Miley saying, you know, she wanted to be rid of her Disney past. She wanted the shackles to be taken off, and it was a moment when a new Miley Cyrus was born.
2013 also meant a change of manager and record label for Miley. She signed up with Larry Rudolph, Britney Spears' manager, and left Hollywood Records for RCA Records.
After a year or so of actually working out what she wanted to do, acting or music, she decided in 2013 that she would go down the music route. Larry Rudolph was the new manager. He'd obviously been in control of Britney Spears' career for quite a number of years. And it kind of showed that she was taking things a lot more seriously and wanted to go down a bit more of a risque route. You know, she'd already got the new hair, now it was time for the new music.
I feel like with Larry Rudolph as her manager, she is literally following the Britney Spears handbook. I mean, this is the Britney Spears story. Really sort of good girl from the South, Disney, you know, sort of tries to break it into the pop world, very clean, very saccharine, and then bam, like a few years later, she comes out, you know, with the boa and the bikini and the Pharrell produced songs, I'm a Slave for You, and this is what we're seeing with Bangerz right now.
In 2012, Miley starred in the hit TV show 2.5 Men opposite Ashton Kutcher, further proof that she was trying to break free from her Hannah Montana image. Miley Cyrus has always been involved in charity work, promoting it through social networks like Twitter and at events.
Because, you know, I have so many charities that it's so easy to, you know, just find so many things you want to be involved with. But if you can really set your mind to that one thing and really make a difference and do it every year and have as many people come out as they do that just love him and want to support the same thing he supports is really amazing.
The Revlon Run Walk is seriously amazing, so make sure you guys keep it up, and it's something that I want to be involved with for the rest of my life. And we'll keep it going no matter how long it takes until all of our sisters are safe from these cancers. So you guys keep on moving, keep climbing, keep the faith, keep walking as long as you can.
City of Hope has always been something that I've been involved in since I was younger. My family and even just working with Disney, they've been, you know, so involved in this, and there's my manager also was like on the board, and it's always been something that's been really important to me, and they've always been really supportive. And on my first tour, they let me do where $1 from every ticket would go to City of Hope, and we end up raising millions of dollars, which is amazing. And it's just been so awesome to be able to do what I love and also support without it, you know, always just coming to an event and not actually getting to be hands-on, but using what I do to make a difference.
Miley's fourth album, Bangerz, featured 2 new singles, We Can't Stop and Wrecking Ball, which went to the top of the charts in record time.
We Can't Stop, the single from Bangerz, went on YouTube and it broke a record for getting up to 100 million hits on Vivo in record time. And no wonder, if you look at the video, it's just, you know, this girl gyrating. It's kind of like soft porn. She's there twerking, as it's called, which is, you know, gyrating and shaking her bum, and good for her. Basically, the world was talking about her. I think that's what she wanted. She wanted to make history. And at the time she did. She broke a record to get to 100 million hits. How many artists can say they did that? Now, she doesn't just want to be another child star who didn't quite make it. She wants to be another Madonna, another Britney. She wants to be remembered. So of course she's gonna have to do something shocking.
When We Can't Stop came out, a lot of people were outraged or shocked by the line Molly, referring to ecstasy, dancing with Molly, and a lot of people were like, what's she saying? At first, Miley sort of pled the fifth or sort of copped out and said, oh no, I'm not saying Molly, I'm saying Miley. That's my southern accent that you're hearing. But eventually she admitted, yeah, actually, I am singing about ecstasy. The thing is, I guess I could see why the mothers out there might be outraged, because they remember what Miley was to their daughters when, you know, 5 or 10 years ago. But I think you have to remember, Miley isn't making music for kids anymore. She is making music for her peer group. She's 21 years old now. A lot of her fans are around the same age. They're late teens, they're in their 20s. She's making music for her peer group. She's not making music for little children anymore. So if she wants to sing about Molly, this isn't music that 12-year-olds are supposed to like.
We Can't Stop became a huge hit and reached 100 million views in record time. However, her next single would prove to be even more successful.
Wrecking Ball is a fantastic song, you know? I mean, it really shows off her voice. It's barely auto-tuned, if it is at all. You know, as much as it's produced, it sounds like a real vocal, and a really good one. So I love that.
Now, let's be honest, the world was talking about the video so much so it's become one of the most talked about videos in the world. I mean, she was naked on a giant wrecking ball.
Of course it was going to break a record because she's basically naked in it. So you say that to a handful of guys, the first thing they're going to do is be looking for it on YouTube. And the video actually showcases how good she is, how good a singer she is. Her vocal talents and the sincerity of the lyrics are quite poignant. But she's naked. And this is controversial, of course it is, and it's actually inspired lots of people to put out parodies of Miley naked on everything, from the Empire State Building to the Eiffel Tower. And again, she's being talked about, and is that not what she wants? Bearing in mind Miley has just split up from her fiancé, she kind of wants him, as any girl, trust me, wants to do in this situation. She wants him to take notice. So in her personal life, she's glad that the world's looking at her because she's like, look at this. And she looks amazing. Her body is amazing. It's toned, it's fabulous. She's young, she's nubile, why not? Liam Hemsworth must be thinking, I lost that. And at the same time, the world's looking at her and she's becoming a force to be reckoned with.
And so when I saw Miley performing the song live in Las Vegas at the iHeartRadio Festival, it really did become a moment. I mean, the crowd were fixed and transfixed by this artist on stage. Let's be honest, not wearing that much, but in terms of an emotional connection, she really delivered the song in style, so much so that at the end of the performance, she was wiping away tears. In fact, she was sobbing as she came off stage. I haven't seen many performers deliver that on stage. Now, whether she was reflecting on her split, of course, from a fiancé or former fiancé Liam Hemsworth, we'll never know. But what I do know is that everybody was talking about the performance and everyone was talking about Wrecking Ball.
What about Miley twerking?
I love it. I love Miley.
She's a beautiful girl. She's super talented. She's maturing. That's what she wants, and she's doing her thing. She's cool.
I agree. I think she needs to. I think she's really overplaying it because like she was like the Disney girl for so long. I think she's doing that for herself too. Like overplaying it to like really set herself apart.
And I'd probably do the same thing in those shoes. Like I would want to separate myself from the whole kiddie thing.
Miley, yes, go her. I'm a full Miley supporter. Do your thing, girl.
With the release of Wrecking Ball, Miley stated that she was inspired by the music of Sinead O'Connor. When Sinead found out she was the source of inspiration for Miley's change of look and her Wrecking Ball video, she published an online letter to Miley telling her to stop prostituting herself for the music industry. This started a feud between the two, and Sinead has threatened to sue Miley for distress and harassment due to her constant tweets about Sinead's past mental health issues.
Well, you know, having covered Sinead O'Connor's, you know, sort of internet meltdowns before, it didn't really surprise me that it was Sinead O'Connor. She's so opinionated, and she was a pop star of her time, so she's been through, you know, the ring. I mean, for Miley Cyrus to tweet, you know, anything about like someone's mental health is kind of irresponsible, but, you know, I understand the sort of desire to react, especially with Sinead O'Connor coming at you with letters, tweets, blog posts, and all that. I don't know if we could declare a winner in the end. It seemed more like a truce, but an interesting one.
The first thing I thought when I saw the Wrecking Ball video, before she starts swinging on wrecking balls and licking hammers while wearing underwear, was the close-up shot of her face. She's getting teary-eyed, and I actually thought the whole video was going to be like that. I actually thought it was kind of classy, but the very first thing I thought when I saw the Wrecking Ball video was Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares to You. It was so much like that. I actually thought it was an homage, and it turns out Miley said it was. She was inspired. So Miley went on record saying she was inspired by Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor in the video from the early 90s. And then Sinead O'Connor, an outspoken woman herself, she wrote this open letter to Miley. I actually feel, you know, with Sinead O'Connor, she's had her history of psychological problems and kind of going off the rails, but I actually felt the first letter that Sinead wrote for Miley was very well intentioned and sounded pretty sane to me. You know, Sinead O'Connor is always someone who kind of rebelled against the overt sexiness and sexism in the music industry towards women. and, you know, she had a shaved head. But she, as a woman who's been in the music business for a while, knows what it's like to sort of be used by mostly male people at record labels who want to market your image and market your sexiness. And she basically said, you know, thanks for, you know, paying tribute to me with the video, but I need to give you a warning. You know, you think you're in control. You think that that you're confusing sexuality with power. You think the way to rebrand yourself and remarket yourself is by making hammers and running around your underwear and, you know, posing for Terry Richardson, whatever. But these people at the record labels don't care about you. They want to chew you up and spit you out. They want you to show your butt on TV and make them money, and don't fall for it. I actually thought she had some of what she said made a lot of sense, and I actually think it could have behooved Miley, who I assume wants a long-term career, to listen to what Sinead was saying. But Miley instead retaliated by sort of making fun of the fact that Sinead has had a history of some mental problems by tweeting screenshots of Sinead's old Twitter when Sinead was kind of acting crazy on Twitter, which I thought was really mean-spirited. I really didn't think, you know, I feel she could have written an open letter back, or she could have just taken it offline and you know, had a private conversation with Sinead, or she should have just ignored it. But instead, I felt she reacted to it in a really immature way, and then it escalated from there with an exchange of increasingly irate letters from Sinead, including Sinead threatening to sue her for defamation, and then they supposedly said they were going to meet, and I actually think they should duet together on Nothing Compares to You and just, you know, compare things. But I don't think Miley handled that situation very graciously. I really do think Sinead meant well.
At the 2013 Video Music Awards held in New York, Miley Cyrus performed her hit single, We Can't Stop, followed by a duet with Robin Thicke. Miley's performance caused a worldwide reaction. Disney's Hannah Montana was long gone, and the new Miley Cyrus was born.
I was lucky enough to have been in New York at the VMAs on the night that Robin Thicke decided to perform his #1 smash, Blurred Lines, with a little bit of help from Miley Cyrus, who of course had come back with this huge pop smash, identifying her with a whole new audience and really cementing her as an artist to be reckoned with, a force to be reckoned with in music in 2013. But little did we know that that performance would get everybody talking about Miley Cyrus, potentially for all the wrong reasons, who at the same time was waving a giant red foam finger whilst suggestively dancing in front of Robin Thicke. Nobody saw this coming. I will never forget the reaction that the American media and the news press around me gave to that one performance. I mean, it was meant to be all about Justin Timberlake that night, but the one performance everybody was talking about was Miley Cyrus and Robin Thicke, and the headlines didn't stop.
At the 2013 VMAs, there was more controversy than ever before. I don't think anyone could have expected what Miley was about to do. She got on stage, she stripped off into a flesh-coloured bikini that was kind of plasticky. Now, this gave the illusion that she was naked, in a sense, and she sang her own song, We Can't Stop, and she also sang Blurred Lines duetted with Robin Thicke, and she gyrated against him. She tried to be as sexy and out there as possible. She had a rubber finger, which she was pointing in that direction. She had her tongue out all the time. She just wanted to be really as dirty and bad as possible because she had been seen as so good before. So she wants the flip side. It's like this real rebellious streak coming out.
I love Miley. I really am such a fan, but I mean, having fun on stage is different, but in front of America, you should not. They're real. They're real. I know.
I don't think it was explicit at all. You couldn't see anything. I mean, I watched it just as an experiment to check. Now, you know, obviously you look at it and you go, well, what's everyone shouting about? I mean, she's a young girl. She's like only 20 or something. She's just having a go. Someone said to me, the world that a lot of those people like Miley live in is noise. It's all noise. And they've got to get above the noise. I think it was only mildly shocking. I mean, you know, she's dancing with Robin Thicke on the awards. So what? Come on.
Robin, we wanted to make you feel comfortable tonight. So we're just gonna keep this up on stage. And if the mood hits you, grab the foam finger, Miley style, and see what happens.
The VMAs have always been really controversial. There's always some sort of performer that's seen as the big moment of the night. And Miley kind of did it for all the wrong reasons on that night. The twerking, the kind of crotch grabbing and, you know, running into Robin Thicke. It was very over the top, but it was the moment that everybody was talking about. Whether you like her or you don't like her, there was only one name that everybody was mentioning the next day, and that was Miley Cyrus.
No matter what you thought about Robin Thicke and Miley Cyrus' performance of Blurred Lines that night, two things happened after the MTV VMA performance. One, the whole world realized they knew who Miley Cyrus was, and two, the whole world was talking about Miley Cyrus. And of course, her career has gone on to a whole new level thanks to that one performance. 390,000 tweets a minute during the VMAs. I mean, I remember being there and everyone for the next 24 hours in New York was talking about Miley Cyrus. She trended on worldwide Twitter feeds for over, I think, 8 days after the VMAs. She became the most watched artist on YouTube, breaking Vivo records for the Wrecking Ball video, which subsequently followed the performance. I mean, she was incredibly clever with this. And I respect the fact that she refused to apologize for her performance. She refused to say what she did was wrong. She justified it by saying she had the artistic right to come on stage and perform in that way. It was fun, and she made it very clear that the VMAs would be the most apt platform for her to deliver something memorable, something sexy, something knowing. And I think she knew exactly what she was doing. She's now breaking records. She's got her first #1 single in America, and I think she's potentially overtaking Gaga and Rihanna to become the #1 female artist in the world.
Miley's never really been one to speak out about the criticism that she receives in the press, and she didn't really do that this time either. All she said was, as a response to what people were saying, was, you know, Madonna and Britney did a kiss on stage, their moment was remembered, people are remembering my one, and she kind of had a point.
Miley refused to apologize for her VMA performance, stating it was nothing different from what Madonna or Britney Spears had done before.
After the VMAs, Miley broke yet another record because her performance became the most tweeted thing in history, where it was getting 360,000 tweets per minute. So the world was going crazy for it. And say what you like about her, call her what you want. I think that this is a master plan to become a global star. And she is breaking record after record, so ultimately we do want to watch Miley.
It's kind of interesting to me and amusing to me that the VMAs performance in 2003 that Miley Cyrus did got so much attention that people were so outraged and freaked out, because this is what the VMAs does. Ever since the 1984 first VMAs, when Madonna was rolling around on the floor, 2003 VMAs when Britney and Madonna and Christina Aguilera kissed, those things actually seem kind of quaint now, but we look back on the Madonna and Britney stuff and go, that's not really such a big deal. But that's what the VMAs are about, these water cooler moments. Oh my God, Kanye got on stage with Taylor and did this stuff. Bartman, Howard Stern, the list goes on. I don't actually think that what Miley did at the VMAs in 2013 was all that different from that, and she has said the same thing. She has said what she did at the VMAs is no different from these other shocking water cooler moments that no one remembers who won at the VMAs. No one remembers who took home video of the year that Britney and Madonna kissed. What we remember are these shocking moments, and I'm sure MTV was thrilled with Miley. She provided the moment of the year for them. She got people talking, and that is what she did her job, you know? And I actually am really surprised, considering some of the other stuff that's out there and some of the other stuff that even Miley has done, that the fact that she was waving around her foam finger and twerking on someone in some latex lingerie was that big a deal. But I think she knew what she was doing. I really think she knew. She knew that she was going to deliver the moment. She knew she was going to upstage Lady Gaga. I think a lot of people going into the VMAs thought that Lady Gaga was opening the show, and her stock and trade, his shocking performances, that she and her little seashell thong was going to be the moment of the night, and then Miley steamrolled right over Gaga, and she stole the show, and I think Miley knew what she was doing. I don't think Miley stupid.
At the 2013 European Music Awards in Amsterdam, Miley pulled her latest stunt. While accepting her award for Best Music Video for Wrecking Ball, she lit what appeared to be a joint. The acceptance speech was cut by MTV for American audiences.
Yo, Ben, everybody wants to know what you thought of the EMA performance. You know, she did the most.
I wish I could twerk like that. See, I do that, I'll throw my socket out, man.
On the 10th of December 2013, Miley performed her 2 latest hit singles in Madison Square Garden, New York. She shocked audiences once again by twerking on Santa and drinking from a hidden bottle of alcohol inside a paper bag.
I follow with interest how people transform, how they reinvent themselves as the years go on. I have to admit that when I saw Miley, I was quite shocked. As a new mum myself, I think you have this little thing in your head that says, oh, I don't really know if I want my kids watching that. But the other business brain part of me says, good for her. Because, yeah, she was a huge name, but she was a huge name as something else. She was made by Disney, and she was made as Hannah Montana. And she wants to be a star in her own right. That's exactly what Miley's doing. And she wants to be on a level playing field, or better.
I'm really lucky in my job that I get to interview celebrities and recording artists and actors all the time. That's what I do for a living. But I don't meet many who have instant X Factor, star quality and sheer charisma as soon as they walk in the room. I mean, I remember interviewing Miley around the release of Party in the USA, in fact. She was doing a big show here in London. I went backstage to meet her. She had a massive entourage with her, but she still made sure that I felt I was the only person in the room. She had that rare ability to connect with me and rule out everybody else in the room. I mean, I really did feel as if she was making a total fuss of me, but of course she was being a professional. She knew what she was doing. She was selling records, but she had that one quality that I knew would take it to a whole new level. She had that superstar X Factor quality, which has resulted in her going on to become, let's be honest, one of the most talked about celebrities in the world and a #1 recording artist.
Well, I think the future's definitely looking bright for her. She's 20 years old and look at what she's achieved. You know, Hannah Montana, the millions that she's made with that. The music career is doing better than it's ever done before. No doubt there'll be more acting and more films. I wouldn't be surprised if Miley was one of those artists that was there for, you know, decades to come.
You know, she's got another 20 years. At least, to do exactly as she pleases, world domination.
Miley Cyrus was destined for fame. A rock star's daughter, she was going to become one of the most influential singers of her time. Her role as Disney's #1 girl, Hannah Montana, put her on the map to success. With the release of 4 studio albums and a passion for acting, it's no wonder that she has become the focus of the media everywhere. What does the future hold for Miley? Only time will tell.